Let me grab some food for this feeder. It says it holds up to 17 pounds of food, which is nice because then, you know, we don't have to constantly fill it every day, and they can get what they need without us worrying about them running out of food every single day. So I will say that we have went through less food since we've got these feeders, and I think it's more so because of you know, the other creatures that were getting into the feed. That also included mice. So we've seen less mice pressure and less smaller birds around. So now with these feeders, because we do have oyster shells mixed up, they do get, I've noticed that they get gummed up a little bit, so I do have to go in and kind of dig out the oyster shells that get powdery because it'll cake up. So that's one thing I will change, is that we'll have to find a different way to supplement the oyster shells for our birds. So I've got a bit of an audience here. Okay, let's go give them their food. These feeders are said to feed anywhere from 6 to 12 birds, and we haven't had too many issues, except the birds are pretty big, and only one of them essentially can get in at a time. Sometimes I'll see two, but for the bigger flock, the Polish, there's 2 or 3 of them that can get in at a time for those. So, but I'll show you, because initially, like I said, I was a little nervous about them being able to figure it out, but they're pretty smart creatures and they figured it out relatively quickly. So you guys are going to see a lot of oyster shells on the ground because I've been cleaning out the other automatic feeder that we've been using because they've been getting jammed up in there. So I'll kind of show you guys. So if you are interested in getting one of these, that's just something to watch for. So we actually purchased before this 2 of these automatic feeders. I wasn't so sure about how they were going to do, just because, you know, the birds aren't used to them, because the way that they function is the bird has to actually step on it and then the door opens and then they can get their feed. So I was a little nervous, and of course I was kind of just throwing them food outside just to make sure they were eating, and then I started doing a little bit of research to see how I can get the birds to eat out of these things. If anybody's interested in this automatic feeder, we actually did get it from Amazon. You'll have to do your research, but it's called the Feed O Matic. So this is our 3rd Feed O Matic that we have. So we have 2 feeders now in our big coop and then 1 in our smaller coop. And so these guys are actually looking for the food, so let me get them their food real quick. I just want to make sure that it's going to work well for them. See how it goes in there? So it kind of falls in and they'll get it. And then if you look at this one is kind of caked with those oyster shells because they've been eating around it. So I got to kind of kick it out, otherwise they don't get the feed they need. Overall, they figured it out. I also put treats and stuff around the footer. So I would put treats around this so they know. This is a little uneven, so I'm gonna make sure she's even. But I ended up putting treats around it right here, and they actually started figuring out. But I do also throw some feed out around it too, so they know this is where their food's gonna be at. Let me get this cleaned out. Okay, so I just cleaned out this other one because those oyster shells were jamming it up. I kind of just had to dump it a little bit, but we just added those oyster shells, but before without them it was working fantastic. So highly recommend that you don't do the oyster shell mix, but we kind of mixed it in with our other feed, so we don't really have an option until we run out of feed. So we'll just have to deal with it. I'll have to just make sure it stays free and clear so they can get the food that they need. I will say that there's less birds around and less mice, so it has worked out pretty well, at least for these guys. This guy right here, his name is Brutus. He's actually one of my favorite roosters. He's such a good rooster. I'm trying to keep him so he's nice, and I will come out here and hand feed him twice a day, just because I absolutely enjoy doing it, but he's kind of a big deal to me. I really enjoy him. And his partner in crime is Odontis. For the record, I did not name them. I do realize they have stage names. At least I think they're associated with the stage name. But they truly are cool creatures. But yes, overall, you guys, these automatic feeders, they've helped us quite a bit with saving waste. I mean, granted, I just dumped a whole bunch of it on the ground, but they're eating it. But I would say it saves on waste, and they figured it out pretty quickly. So that was one of my biggest concerns. It wasn't more so, you know, the actual feeder itself. It was more so just the birds figuring it out. It was a spendy investment. It was about $70 a feeder, but I will tell you, because it limits on the outside influences of other animals, I think it's totally worth it, especially with kind of the things that we were facing here at the farm. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and give us a like, share, subscribe, and tell a million friends or two. All right, folks, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.